All right, let's talk about who gets to decide how dogs are trained. Yeah, this is about the conflict between the two approaches, the two camps, but not in the way most people think. It's not just about which methods work better and which are unethical. It's about one side trying to decide that the other side should not be allowed to exist. That's the real problem. AVSAB and APDT have position statements that say aversive should be never used. Not carefully, not even if other approaches are failing, just simply never. Those statements are not just opinions. They're being pushed into veterinary recommendation, education standards, licensing discussions, and of course, legislations. We've already watched tools and methods go underground in countries where these same ideas became policies. That same pressure is still here in the United States. If we allow it to happen, the question stops being what works for this dog and becomes what are you allowed to do? And that's control. I'm not arguing that aversive should be used carelessly or by people who don't understand them. Every tool has rules and every consequence has risk. That's legit discussion. What is not legitimate is removing an entire way animals learn before that discussion even begins. Punishment is one of the basic processes by which animals learn. It wasn't invented by balance trainers. If an organization wants the entire profession to abandon it, the evidence needs to be overwhelming. Right now, the burden always falls on the people who still use aversives at times. And to me, that doesn't make any sense. Here is what actually matters. Families are told we've tried everything, and then euthanasia is recommended. But everything often means only what fits inside one philosophy. We've seen the cases, dogs that went through force-free protocols, long-term medications, and were scheduled to be put down. Some of those same dogs are still alive years later because someone used a wider approach. When that happens, the conversation often turns strange. Instead of focusing on the fact that the dog who was going to die is now alive and living a normal life, people talk about how the trainer speaks or their personality or that the dog yelped once during training. Yes, the dog made a sound. And now it's running free and happy. The previous approach failed. Someone else helped the dog. The dog is still here. If the slogans say you're on the dog's side, so why does the outcome create so much resistance? And these are not fictional stories. These are real dogs and real families with documented histories. When a dog is saved with a wider approach after the restricted one failed, how do you still put the method ahead of the dog's life? Before recommending euthanasia, would you send that dog to an experienced balance trainer? Yes or no? If yes, that dog at least gets a real chance. If no, then stop saying you've tried everything. Just say you stayed inside your own system. That's fine. Keeping dogs on SSRIs for years when the behavior is not changing, that's not advanced ethical care. Using SSRI as a permanent substitute while refusing other options, it's not responsible. The only reason I keep talking about this is that organizations and people are actively working to ban tools, control education, and decide what trainers are allowed to practice. If that stopped, we would stop talking about them the same day. Until then, we won't stay quiet. Now, here is something else, IACP. IACP has invited force-free speakers in the past, perhaps with the idea that if they spend time with us, they will see we are not the enemy. But what has past experience actually shown? Do those trainers go back to their own circles and push back against the legislation and position statements that target balanced training? I'm not aware of it happening even one time. Agreeing with us while standing on our stage is not much of an accomplishment. It looks more like a chameleon putting on the right camouflage when it doesn't want to be challenged. APDT does not invite balanced trainers to their events. They understand that line, and I think we should too. I've been doing this for more than 40 years. Shelter dogs, guide dogs, police dogs, competition dogs, family pets. I still test myself against the best in the world. I am competitive, okay? If something produces better results than what I do, I'll take that without any hesitation. Force-free trainers are not competitive at highest levels. And that's not an opinion. That's the results showing it. I've changed my methods many times when the dogs proved me wrong. I never expected that the dogs to change for me. Now, sure, force-free training has helped many dogs, but it has also failed many. We have the cases, we have the data. Those are real. A significant number of dogs that were heading for euthanasia are alive today only because someone used an approach that was not limited by ideology. Yeah, we should stay open to comparing results on hard cases. Why not? What I'm personally not open to is using position statements, legislation, and educational pressure to end that comparison before it ever begins. The dogs don't know the names of these organizations. They only live with the outcome. And I always end with this line, and I will do it again. Outcome is welfare. This is ultimately what matters. That's all I have for now, so let me hear your thoughts.